VE to select the word, Y to copy, Control L to come back to the right side, and then I, Control R and 0. Yeah, let's do double J, come back to the left, find issue, YE to copy the word, come to the right by Control L, I to go into insert mode, Control R 0 to paste. Okay, today we're gonna set Neovim in the server, so you will need to have access to VPN and access to the terminal. So let me get started. We started off by using a JKHL rather than arrows. Now we can do that. We can move to the end of the line by $. First character of the line by $. We can mix numbers in front of the motion keys like 3J, 6J, 100K. Now we can search word. Go to SMP, we can do /SMP and then press enter. And if you want to search backwards, we can do $, Kevin. Find the Kevin we want and we capital N to the previous one, N to the next one. Remove the highlights by NOH. We now can split the screen by :VS. Then we have the same thing opened on the right, which you can move around like 1000, J, and we can select the lines, copy them, move to the next window, paste them here, revert the changes by U, move back to another window by Control W. Okay, we also tried tab new. So tab new will open a new tab, which you can move around with GT. With it, I go in and actually write stuff in the position where your cursor was, and you can get out of the normal mode by ESC. But now we're gonna map the ESC into JJ. So we do IMAP JJ into ESC. As you can see here, if you type enter, now you don't have to press ESC. You now instead press double J. For example, if I go to write mode by I write stuff, and I come out of the normal mode by JJ. Now I'm in the normal mode again. Okay, we can map ESC to something else. We also did adding lines above. So rather than going into insert mode by I, O and capital O. O is for inserting in the line below, like this. And capital O was inserting in the line above. Capital I for inserting in the beginning of the line. And we could also do capital A to add at the end of the line. You can do colon and save as. You are saving this document as something else. So now is currently example underscore rackham underscore log.txt, but you want to save it as a new file. Then when you look at the ls, you will have new file saved. So when you work on some document and then you edit them, you can save them as a new file by save as. All right. Today, what we're going to do is $sign and then term. When you do this, you will see a terminal, which you can move around like normal terminal. But to do this, you need a Neovim. There's an option to do this in Vim, but it's much easier, and there are many more modules to work with the terminal in Neovim. So today we will set up the Neovim. I'm going to connect to the server, or if you want to work on your laptop, that's perfectly fine. So go to a server and go to your home directory where you're comfortable saving files. Or if you're using your laptop, go to a directory where you are comfortable saving files. Then go to Google Chrome and then type Neovim. When you type Neovim, you will see a website here. Go in there. And once you're in there, click on Install Now. Then if you're using Mac, there will be a section for Mac here. And if you're using Linux, like us, we have a section like this here. I will do this for Linux for now. So I'm inside server under my home directory. I'm going to make a directory called Neovim. And I'm going to go in there, Neovim. And once you're in there, once you're in a directory where you're comfortable saving files, then you are going to just copy these. Copy them, and then paste it here. Curl is a very similar command that we did to the wget. So it's downloading a file from a website. There's this pre-compiled image, so you don't have to install anything. You just need to change the permission by this line, which we already pasted in, and you're just running it by /. All right. then you'll see Neovim screen very similar to this, where you can try running :term. Then, of course, if you're in the server, if you do term, it's going to open a new terminal loading your bashrc file. So it's going to take us more seconds than opening a terminal in your laptop. But here we are. When you type I as an install mode, you can type anything. For example, you can do ls. You can do ls-artl. Then you do control backslash and control n. Control backslash, control n. Then you are in the normal mode that you can move around. Okay, let me do this again. I'm going to press I to go in to the insert mode. So now you can type your commands. I'm going to do control backslash and then control N. Control backslash, control N. See, now I'm in the normal mode and I can just move around with my motion keys. I can search PNL, I can search KC224, I can search NVIM, and so on. And then to go back to the insert mode again, like a normal terminal, you just press I. Then you are back in here. And I'm gonna close my Neovim by :Q. I'm getting out of the Neovim and going back out to Linux shell. So I'm now back in the Linux shell. When we try to run Neovim, we don't want to type ./nvim.appimage every time. We just want to call it like Vim. So we create alias in bashrc file. So let's open vi home directory .bashrc file. So this is what you already know. The bashrc file contains a set of configurations for your shell to load every time you turn on a terminal. So whatever you put in there will be loaded when you open a new terminal. So what I'm trying to do is I'm going to add a shortcut so that I can open Neovim rather than normal Vim whenever I type vi space home directory.bashrc. In the bashrc file that you have, you just type alias, change vi into, it will be like this for me. If I do this, whenever I type vi in the terminal, it's going to open Neovim rather than just Vim, okay? If you're uncomfortable with this, you can just change Vim. So you can just type Vim every time you want to open Neovim, and you can just keep vi as the original vi. But that's up to you. You can save it as wq. Okay, let's get my configuration. I'll show you my configuration. Normal Vim configuration file is saved in the home directory under the name of .vimrc. But for Neovim, we have different location. So let's create that location first. We have to have a folder. So we're gonna make dir, and then we're gonna, so it's on the home directory .config/nvim. So I'm gonna go in there. Home directory, config, and then let me show you the configuration that I have. So if you go to our Linux tutorial repo under Vim node, there will be a file called init.vim. If you click that, you can see my configuration. So these are my configuration. So plug is installation software that is installed on top of the Neovim. So I don't have to think about installing each module separately, so I can just give this line to install this program, and Neovim does it for me with the plug. So if I want to have this tool downloaded, I just add this line to my configuration, and then Neovim will take care of it. So just by adding a single line, I can add different tools, which becomes really comfortable. And remember, we learned how to set number and relative number. I'm putting this in the Neovim file, so I don't have to type it every time. When I go in there, it's already showing the number and relative numbers. So I have a bunch of things mapped here. Well, of course, you can learn Vim slowly and then keep adding your line, but I think this is a good place to start for you to download. All right? So same as before, if you click on the raw, and you will see the raw file, and just copy the address, and then go back to the terminal, and then we do wget, and then paste it. All right, then you just downloaded the file. Once you have init vim here in this location, and when you open Neovim, you will automatically see numbers and relative numbers on your left hand of the screen. If you don't see this, it means that you put in your init vim in a different location. So please double check them. But if you have them, now it is time to install plug. So I showed you that we are using this app called Plug that we can use to install other modules by a single line. So let me get that. So go to a Chrome and then type plug Neovim. You will see the first one, and you click on this and scroll down, and we just need to specify which we are installing for Neovim. So we need to use this one. And then if you are using Linux, we can just use this one. If you are using Mac, you can also use this one because it's a Unix. So you just click on the little copy button here. Come back to your terminal, sorry. Yeah, let's find the Neovim one. Okay, that's good. Let's copy that. Let's go back to the terminal and then just paste that. Nice. Run it. So now you just installed Plug. So let's go into Vim. This is important. Let's go into Neovim. So most of the errors went away because now you have Plug module installed. So now you have all the things that labeled connected to your Neovim. But there's one more thing that you have to install. See, it says cannot find color scheme. So it means there's things to be installed. So let's do enter and enter again. All right, can you do colon? And then capital P and tap it, then you will have plug install. Can you select plug install? You can tap through. If you type this, it's gonna load your init file and then install all the missing modules. Let's do this. Yeah, so it means you are missing all of these modules in your home directory. So now it's installing it automatically. Give it a few more seconds. Yeah, I think it's done. Save to do colon Q. Let's get out again just to see if we see the error message. Let's get into the Vim. Now there's an error message because the Python. Neovim also works with Python and it requires for you to enter the location of your Python into it. So if you press enter, yeah, do you realize the color of your Neovim is changed into something that I use? In the init file, you're installing and loading color schemes and all the shortcuts. And now you just need to set where your Python is. Let's do colon and then vs space. You wanna open a file on your right, the init file. So home directory /.config /nvim /init.vim. Let's search Python /Python. Yep. See, if you look at line 103, it is using my Python. So I want it to use your Python or system Python. So let's just change that. Let's link it to my Python. So you can change into, yep, you can press enter. And let's change the path of the Python into /data/pml/kcho. So now it knows which Python to use. Let's press enter and then save it. WQ, and then get out of this. Yep, let's go into the Vim again. Can you do colon and then check and tap? There will be check health. Okay, can you type enter? But if you look at the line where there's a Python 3 provider, so you're using the correct Python and it's requiring me to install pynvim to the most recent version. I'll do that on my end, then we'll be good to go. Okay, so let's do colon vs and let's do colon term to go into the terminal. Now press I to type something, ls, then try double J now. Now you're back in the normal mode. So in the Vim setting, we have another settings to make a shortcut for Control/N to double J in the terminal as well. So now you can use double J to get out of the normal mode. Can you try Control H, and then can you try JK? Yeah, can you do Control L? And I, ls, yep. Double J, Control H again. You're on the left. Let's go to the right, Control L. You're on the right, Control H again. So you can use different shortcuts to move around different windows and go into normal mode, back out into normal mode and insert mode again by I. Once you do this, we can practice like copy and pasting into like a copy from text file on the left and paste it on the terminal. Let's do VE to select the word, Y to copy, Control L to come back to the right side, and then I, Control R and 0. Yeah, let's do double J, come back to the left, find issue by /issue, enter, YE to copy the word, come to the right by Control L, I to go into insert mode, Control R 0 to paste. Double J again, come back to the left, search for Python, enter. Yep, YE to copy the word, come to the right side, Control L, I, Control R0. So imagine we are just pasting random words now, but imagine you'll be pasting the command line for neuroimaging analysis. For example, BET, not only faster, but we can reduce mistakes that we make. So if we have like a clean document for different commands, then we can just select them and then paste it into the server. So I think it was pretty fast to set up all of this, but Omar has successfully installed Neovim. So if any of you or otherwise do not have Neovim, please ask Omar to set it up and help setting it up for you. And you can also ask me. So if there's any error coming up in using Neovim, you can also ask me. But we can do things much faster if you can have terminal on your right.